What are we doing here? What is this E3 presentation? Look, I try to be a positive person sometimes, but sometimes you just got to be negative. I have liked some things within this E3 stuff, and Summer Games Fest, Elden Ring was cool, Mario and Rabbids was cool, I enjoyed Xbox's presentation, but for the most part, Summer Games Fest, it kind of sucked. Ubisoft's presentation kind of sucked. Square Enix's presentation, it kind of sucked. And today we had Capcom's presentation. Now, before Capcom even did their presentation, they put out a little announcement about some of the things they would be talking about, featuring the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Monster Hunter Rise, and Resident Evil Village. But this was going to be a 30-minute presentation, so could they really talk about just those things in this presentation? Well, evidently, yes. If you throw in esports, there you go. There's the quick recap of what we saw at Capcom's E3 presentation. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to go over it a little bit, and then I'm just going to complain about how E3 has just turned into really just an absolute crap show and why these companies don't even need to do E3 anymore. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like the video, but let's just talk about this. So we started off showing Resident Evil Village, the game that's already out, the game that I've already beaten, and I'm pretty much almost done with the second playthrough of it where I was playing with an unlimited weapon. It's not a bad game or anything like that. I definitely enjoyed it. I did enjoy Resident Evil 7 a little bit more than Village. Just some of the story elements in Resident Evil Village just kind of went off the rails for me. They then thanked us for playing the game. You're welcome. I mean, you got my money, enjoy that money, put it to good use. It's a good game, definitely worth the money. And then they reminded us that RE-verse, which is the online multiplayer component of Resident Evil Village, is still a thing and will be coming out next month. Okay, it still looks absolutely terrible. I don't like the art style of it. I guess it's cool that there's a lot of Resident Evil characters in there. And then they announced that they're working on DLC for Resident Evil Village based on popular demand. I'm sure that popular demand was not from your wallet. No, sirree. It was based on all of the fans saying, hey, we want additional content for Resident Evil Village because that's what we want. We want to give you more money. No. It was not because of your wallet. It was clearly just based on fan feedback. Then, of course, we had some Monster Hunter stuff, and this is a Capcom presentation, so I don't even know what the hell I can show in this because they showed a lot of trailers for stuff, and Capcom always copyright claims their trailers, so I'm gonna try to make this work the best I can, but if this video is just edited really poorly, I mean, you watch RGT 85, you're not really used to great editing. Monster Hunter Stories 2 got a story trailer because we need to see more story from this game. Look, I get it. According to OJ from Player Essence, he told me that during one of these little Monster Hunter Directs or Monster Hunter presentations or whatever, they showcased Monster Hunter Stories 2 gameplay. But I don't watch all of those because I don't really care to watch all of those. Everything that we've seen on a main presentation when this is like the big focal point has been story related. I still have not seen any gameplay from this game, and this game comes out next month, and I'm just kind of like, why aren't you showing me gameplay of this yet? Like, I get that the gameplay is very similar to the first game, which I did enjoy playing the first game on the Nintendo 3DS, even though, I mean, nobody bought the original game, let's be realistic, but it just seems weird that they're not showing any gameplay from this. I think the game, from what they've shown, looks great. I just want to see how the game actually plays, and I don't want to have to hunt down, no pun intended, a Monster Hunter Direct event in order to see this sort of stuff. They also talked about some new stuff coming to the game, some free content coming to the game, because I guess people care about that sort of stuff. And then they are doing a free trial of the game. You'll be able to download a demo on June 25th that will transfer your save data over to the complete version of the game. So that's a cool thing. That will probably be the first time I actually see gameplay from this game, unless Nintendo showcases some of the gameplay during tomorrow's Nintendo Direct presentation. And then, of course, we got Monster Hunter Rise. Another game that's already come out, another game that I've already beaten, but yes, it's time for Monster Hunter Rise to get the center stage. There's going to be some crossover stuff with Monster Hunter Stories 2. I guess that's kind of cool. They also shown some of the DLC for the games being added and new events along with new gear. Look, isn't the point of the Monster Hunter presentations that you guys do that are like 30 to 40 minutes long, isn't the point of those to show off this sort of stuff? And I feel like some of this stuff has already been shown off because you're talking about current update content stuff that we already know about. So what's the point of those presentations if you're just going to do the exact same thing in your E3 presentation? Like, people are looking towards your E3 presentation for new stuff. They're looking for new announcements or updates on games that maybe you haven't talked about, maybe some classic franchises coming back, even just just keeping it realistic. I don't see the need for companies to talk about game stuff that they've already talked about previously within their presentations during E3. It just seems like they don't have anything to talk about, so they're going to talk about stuff you already know. But yeah, there's some Monster Hunter Rise stuff coming up. And then Great Ace Attorney Chronicles was showcased up next. Now, this game also comes out next month. Look, Phoenix Wright is cool. I like Phoenix Wright games. I played all the Phoenix Wright games. I never played the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles that came out on the 3DS stateside. I know some of the games never even came out outside of Japan, so this is the first time that they're being localized. That's very cool. They showed a trailer for the game, and I was like, all right, you know, it looks a lot like Phoenix Wright. You know, it has that same sort of gameplay element, very similar animation style. It looks a little bit better than the Phoenix Wright games did. So, you know, this is cool. And then they did the most bizarre thing of this presentation, and that's really saying a lot. They showed gameplay, in-depth gameplay for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever played a Phoenix Wright game before, but really you just kind of sit there and you tap the screen, at least you did on the DS, and then sometimes you would answer questions and tap the screen, and really there's nothing else really going on beyond that. And in this game, it's pretty much the same thing. So this gameplay presentation was just like long periods of silence where there was like some light music playing in the background, and then you just hear dot 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 dot. Because that's how the story is being portrayed, because it doesn't have voice acting. Nobody wants to see this. Like, you could show a still image of a Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and get a good feeling of what the gameplay is. You could have shown like 2 or 3 minutes, but no, they went very in-depth with this. This was actually one of the longest portions of Capcom's E3 presentation. It's just like, are you trying to put me to sleep here? Like, I get it, you want to hype up this game, but why are you showing in-depth gameplay from this game that comes out later than Monster Hunter Stories 2 did? Yet you didn't show any Monster Hunter Stories 2 gameplay within this E3 presentation. That would have made more sense to me to showcase Monster Hunter Stories 2, a game that, let's be realistic, the first game sold like absolute shit, so you'll want to have people buy this game. Obviously, Monster Hunter Stories 2, the budget for that game is going to be higher than the Great Ace Attorney, so I don't know, they just went super in-depth with this, and I was just like, what are we doing with this presentation? But all that wrapped up, there was about 10 minutes or so left, 11 minutes or so left, and I'm like, all right, here we go. We're gonna get some new announcements. Capcom's gonna bring back some old IPs. They're gonna announce some new games coming out, and they showed esports stuff. They showed competitive esports stuff. This is how they ended their presentation, with competitive esports stuff. Now, if you're an esports player, I applaud you. You know, awesome job. I'm glad you've made it as an esports player. I don't give a shit about esports stuff. I don't care about the competitions. I don't care about stuff like that. It does absolutely nothing to me. To see esports talked about in the Capcom esports with games like Street Fighter and stuff, I don't care about this. So you spending 10 minutes roughly on this instead of showing me video games and showing me new games, something that could have been done in a simple trailer drop or something if you want to celebrate your esports stuff, it completely misses the mark for me. And I feel like for a lot of people watching E3, it completely misses the mark for them. And then they did a recap of all the stuff that I just talked about, because I guess we have short-term memory issues and we've forgotten what we had just seen. We've forgotten that we were thanked for playing Resident Evil Village. We've forgotten, you know, that Monster Hunter Stories 2 gets a new, you know, trailer for the story and not for the actual gameplay, and Monster Hunter Rise is getting DLC. We were thanked for watching this, and then that was it. We need to be real here, folks. We need to be real here. If you don't have shit to show at E3, don't show up to E3. Square Enix did not have to show up to E3. Yes, the Final Fantasy Origins game looked interesting, but really, that's something that you could have just done in a trailer drop. Of course, Ubisoft, you showed off a lot of games we already knew about. You showed off DLC. All that sort of stuff could have been done via trailer drops on your YouTube channel. Yes, the Mario and Rabbids Spark of Hope game looked great. That could have been in Nintendo's presentation. Capcom, you literally talked about nothing. You literally talked about nothing new. You literally talked about nothing excited. A lot of companies have not shown up to E3 this year. Maybe because of the fact that they had nothing to show. All because you're a company with a name doesn't mean you need to go to E3. Hell, Sony did not go to E3 because maybe they just didn't have anything they were ready to show yet. I just don't get this E3, man. It's been, and you know, some of it has to do with the pandemic. Like, I get it. I'm trying to be grateful for what we have. But the thing is, we're getting announcements of stuff we already know about. We're getting announcements of stuff we've already seen before. It's like, this makes no sense. This is so pointless. So yeah, I didn't have a good time watching this Capcom presentation. I don't think a lot of people had a good time watching this Capcom presentation, but I'm a man of the people. I wanted to make a video on it, and maybe you guys were entertained by my video more so than the Capcom presentation. If you were, be sure to share this video around. Let's get this video to get more views than Capcom's presentation whenever they upload it onto their YouTube channel, and then we can show Capcom, hey, you guys kind of sucked ass this year, and people aren't going to stand for this. But maybe you enjoyed Capcom's presentation. Maybe you were like, holy shit, this great Ace Attorney Chronicles gameplay, it is riveting, man. This is huge. This is the biggest thing of E3. Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you guys so much. E3 has been very good for the channel thus far, even though the game announcements haven't been all that great. The views on all the videos have been awesome. You guys continue to rock and just be completely cool. Of course, tomorrow we'll have Nintendo Direct stuff, so hopefully Nintendo can do something more along the lines of Microsoft than Capcom, because oof, man, if that's the case, just cancel E3. We don't need it anymore. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.